So today we're going to just talk about the books that were taken out of the Bible. And one of them, the Book of Enoch. And that Enoch was basically the son of Jared. And his son was Methuselah, who was the longest living human. And the story has it that he was sent up to heaven by the Watchers, who are the good angels, and there were the fallen angels. This is where that fallen angel situation comes in. And he was he interceded for the fallen angels who had came down and defiled themselves with the women and had
themselves. How rude!
Right. Well,
defiled us.
They enchanted the women with their good looks and their
makeup. They had and they taught the women makeup, I think, and all kinds of different things.
Right.
Everything. Adornments.
Mm-hmm. And music, and so they had these fallen angels who came down. When they defiled themselves, the giants were the babies of the outcome of them having sex with the women here on Earth, and they wanted to go back up. They wanted to go back up to heaven, so they had to, and they interceded on Mount Hermon with Enoch, and he went back up, and because they couldn't look up to heaven anymore after they came back down here, these fallen angels. That's why they're called the Watchers. There's other Watchers too, good ones. Yeah, Michael.
How many? Oh yeah, like the archangels and
yes, those are the good ones. Yes, that's what they're here too. Yes, and then the bad ones are like Semyaza, and there's a few you're not supposed to speak their names. But the good ones kind of remind me of like the Ninja Turtles, because there's Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, Raphael.
It's totally based off of them. They come down and help the humans fucking fight the bad guys.
Right. And the Book of Enoch actually has different chapters in there about the luminaries and how they work and stuff. And then that would lead into the Antarctica thing.
Oh yeah, when God chained them. He chained them in ice caves, supposedly, so some conspiracy theorists say they're chained up in Antarctica, and that's why nobody can go there.
Yeah.
And the Nazis are working with them. Secret programs. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. It's crazy.
Right.
And then giants have been unearthed everywhere in the world, like Africa, the Amazon rainforest, here in America, everywhere.
And that's supposedly why the flood happened, was to rid the world of the giants completely. In the Book of Enoch.
So they couldn't swim. That had to be a big flood to get rid of giants.
Right.
So tall they could have just stood up like the giraffes.
Or they learned to swim.
But there's all kinds of books like that, like the Book of Enoch. A lot of books. Well, I don't know if that was originally part of the Bible. I don't think so. Was it a removed book? No, I think it was I don't know. I don't know if they found it later or if it was removed. One part of the removed books. I don't think it was one of them.
I don't know if it was in those scrolls that were found. But there's other books too that have been removed. And throughout mankind,
all the female authors, anything that had to do with females was removed from the Bible.
Well, like Mary Magdalene, she was a very influential person, and she didn't get the credit. She was looked upon as if she was a harlot, and she was actually a follower of Jesus Christ. And as I am, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. Just for y'all. There's we had a comment on there on our page that I was like, oh, well, maybe they just really don't know me.
It got deleted. I didn't delete it. They either deleted it or YouTube deleted it.
Right.
Only nice comments.
Right. And just I like to look into a lot of different things and open my eyes to what's really going on out there. The news and social media, that's like junk food. That's like eating Cheetos. So bad for you. No Takis here.
The talkies here. No, seriously though. Yeah.
Right. Just like
Yeah.
that stuff will mess your stomach up. That other
The
looking
fear.
at
It's just like
it'll mess your mind up.
pumps you with fear all day. Literally. That's all. It's like that's its job.
And so I was just wondering if you had any books that you were thinking of. The one I'm looking into is the Book of Enoch. I'm just so interested in that one right now.
Yeah, no, that one's really cool. No, I mean, I read a little bit of them. Like the Book of Truth was pretty cool, and but I seen somewhere where it was talking about like no. Oh yeah, the Sophia of Jesus Christ. Sophia means like wisdom. That one was really cool. I read that one.
What was that about?
Pretty much a lot of stuff that was over my head. I was just talking about, I would have to listen to it a few times to retain it. But like, just, it was like trying to break it down, like, the first man and his thought and et cetera, et cetera. And whoever has a name is the creation of another. And like all these ideas like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if people are familiar with the lost books, and there are several of them out there. And it's interesting to see how during mankind's evolution, they just seem to want to rewrite what they want and try to make us believe that we're really not special and we really are.
Yeah. Then I read the second great discourse of Seth. That shit was wild.
Was Seth bad?
Wow. I don't think so. Some believe he was like Jesus too, like that was another name for him, I think I read. But oh, this thing made Jesus like seem like ruthless and mean.
Well, I know Cain was terrible, but Seth actually was related to Enoch and Jared, son of Adam. Are you speaking of son of Adam, Seth?
The original let's see. It was in the
Seth.
Nag Hammadi Codex. The Gnostics in the Gnostic Bible. It doesn't say like in this text when you start reading, it doesn't explain. So like you would already have to know where the Seth came from, and I don't. Is there more than one Seth?
Well, I know of Seth and Cain. That's Adam's son. But real quick, off track. Well, you had me thinking of women that were not so. They didn't get the credit they deserve. What about the Book of Esther? She was very influential on helping her people and getting and saving them, really, and speaking to the king and being in his ear.
Oh, she's the one who like won the king over. She wasn't really anything like nobility or anything, right? Was that the story of Esther?
Right. She wasn't very pretty, but she was wise, and he longed to have her near him because of her that the the wisdom that she shared, and it made him feel like he was. I'm sorry. I knew that my phone was going to go off right now. That's why my train of thought went off. But
yeah.
she was actually, and they say she was green too. Look into that one. The book
You gotta
of Torah.
read, but no, you gotta read the
Torah.
second, the discourse of Seth. He basically calls Adam the laughing stock. Like he was made this he like in this book he calls Adam, the first son of man that we think of stuff, the laughing stock and like a counterfeit. And like it says, as if he had become stronger than my brothers and me. This is supposedly Jesus talking. We are innocent with respect to him, since we have not sinned, and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob were all laughing stocks. When the counterfeit fathers, were given a name by the realm of seven, as if he became stronger than my brothers and me. We are innocent with respect to him, since we have not sinned. And he just goes, he calls David a laughing stock. He calls Moses and John the Baptizer. None of them knew me or my brothers, for they had a doctrine of angels to observe deity laws and bitter slavery, since they never know truth, nor will they know it. For there is a great deception upon their soul, making it impossible for them to ever find a mind of freedom in order to know him, until they come to know the human Son. Now, concerning my Father, I am he whom the world did not know, and because of this, the world rose up against my brothers and me. But we are innocent with respect to it, and we have not sinned. So he's basically calling everybody in the Bible like a fraud, and it's like crazy, dude. You got to read it. It's a trip.
Yeah, I never heard of that. I'm not, you know, I.
Yeah, it's the same where the Sophia of Jesus Christ came from, and the Apocryphon of John, the Gospel of Mary. Yeah, all those ones.
Check that one out. Going back to Mary Magdalene. She was, yeah, and she actually helped the women that were wanting to go and worship as the men were doing. And
they weren't allowed, huh?
No, they weren't. They would have to continue and do their daily work. And she helped the women get to the point where they were allowed to be themselves and worship God and not just their husbands, because they weren't their husbands' property. They might have been back then their husband's property, but their soul belonged to Jesus, and God, and Jesus let them, to God, and Jesus let them know that, and Mary helped them. And so that was an awakening. That was actually a first woman rights movement right there.
Damn. Yeah, I wouldn't have survived back then because my soul belongs to nobody but myself. I would have not survived like I wouldn't have survived that. I wouldn't have survived the witches. When were they burned at the stake?
You probably would have been the one that said, "Bring me John the Baptist's head" or something.
Probably. I probably definitely would have.
Do you know what I mean? And not trying to be blasphemous on my end. I love Jesus and I'm funny, so he gave me a sense of humor for a reason. That was funny.
I would have.
Yeah, in this day and age, we're so lucky that we have a choice, and that's another thing is women these days, we're so lucky that we do have a choice. You don't have to depend on anybody telling you what to do, and you can get out there and make your own money, pay your own bills, and not have to depend on a man. Back in, gosh, up until, years ago, even, come on, help me with that one. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, it was almost impossible for a woman to make it on her own. Even these days, you get paid less. You're not looked out. The respect in the workforce is not as strong as it is for a man, or is in some places for a woman. So,
yeah, I refuse to acknowledge that.
Well, I've actually had firsthand experience where I was a supervisor at a facility, and there was a employee of mine who was sexually harassing me, and I turned him in for it, and still nothing happened to him. He was not reprimanded for it. So That tells you right there.
Oh
That'll tell
yeah.
you
I've
everything I need.
been
It's
sexually
like, okay.
harassed at every job I've ever had. Yeah.
And I've learned to ignore it throughout the years, but I being in the position that I was in, I was like, oh, I can't ignore this, because if I do, that's, you know,
I turn around on you.
right, exactly. So I need to report this, and it just backfired in my face, and it was an experience. I'll tell you what, I still have residual effects from it. Speaking of residual effects, that's another thing that's been happening.
Oh man.
Anxiety from other people's experiences. I had a situation that both Tara and I were in. We won't get into too much detail, but it was there was a tragic,
Very traumatic.
very traumatic car accident that we came upon, and there was a lot of people at the scene, but it just still hurt our hearts to the soul, because it didn't end up in a good situation in the end. And I still feel very terrible for everybody involved, and I have them in my thoughts and prayers. I really do. And I'm still feeling the residual effects, even though it wasn't my family or anybody I knew even, but my heart and soul still feels that too involved. And then another thing, residual effects, like when I was driving down the street, I'm driving extra safe because of seeing what could really happen in such a snap, instantaneous.
That's a good residual effect to
And
have.
it is. But one more thing and I want to explain to anybody who's listening who's like, wow, Leah can't speak. I'm still having residual effects from having thyroid cancer, and I literally lose my train of thought in just like snaps of a second. This right here is helping me keep focused and keep on track and keep myself from going crazy, because
What does your shirt say? Pantera?
Oh, it's my overalls. They say Pantera 101.
Nice.
101 proof American metal. Rest in peace, by the way, to the singer. Can't think of his name at the moment. That's another reason. I should know that man's name. Love him. Philip. Hello. Anyway, rest in peace, Phil. My residual effects of having my thyroid taken out is, and having the cancer and going through the radiation therapy, have taken a beating on my mind and even my thought process. Like, as I was saying, and my weight, it goes up and down. You guys will see me super skinny, and then you'll see me with a little bit of weight on me. It's weird, but I just have to say, for anybody out there that's going through it, you'll get through it. And that's another thing, it affects your emotions, and you'll have your days where you feel like you just don't want to be here anymore. You'll get through it. You will get through it. So anybody out there who might be battling a situation like this, just inbox me if you have any questions or any feelings. Those residual effects will try to get to you. We're going to try to have positive ones from here on out. So peace, love, and happiness.
Yes.
And blessings to you all.
Focus on that. Yes. It really does make a world of difference for yourself if you consciously try to block out the the bad thoughts that sneak in all the time, and just reinforce good thoughts every time you catch yourself thinking a negative one.
Right.
You really do feel better. You start to. So
I do. I have my pets. Like, I have my baby boy here, Harley. He always, look at him, he's so freaking cute.
he was just yawning a second ago, stretched all out.
He's so cute. And every time he feels, every time I'm feeling down, he feels it, and he comes and comforts me and tries to like put me in a better mood. He shakes. I call him Mr. Butts sometimes, because he has this little shake his tail feather booty, little nub going on there.
Doing his little strut.
Yeah, and my faith always gets me through. I always remember God has a plan for me, and He does, and He will not fail or forsake me. And that's another thing, like, and that's where my cousin and I, we both have different views on things, but we still can come together and have conversations, and the world needs to come together just like that.
Yeah. And it's not like I don't have faith or any of these things. I just don't choose to believe like
It's different beliefs, right?
and yeah. But yeah. It's
So
pretty much the same but different.
it's love, and love is beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the residual effect we want to have on everybody today. Is just make sure y'all are in a place of peace and love, and driving safe, and telling your loved ones you
drive
love them.
safe
And
and
get your
hugs.
thyroids and get your thyroids checked.
Yes. Definitely. Great advice. You're speaking to me. That's who the fuck you're speaking to.
I'm speaking to
Shit.
everybody because
I need to get mine checked.
if you want to go into conspiracy theory on that, California has the highest rate of thyroid cancer. And I don't know. It does. Yes, it does. And the cell phone, where I had mine started on my right. So like the cell phone thing just kind of had me wondering. And then also I purchased a vehicle, and I purchased a vehicle in the same year that it came out, and it was brand new, and it only had like 2 or 3 miles on it. And not even 9 to 10 within that year, I had cancer, and I'm not sure if it was from the air conditioning unit of the vehicle I had purchased because it was brand new. It didn't get it right. The other people didn't get to use it and get all that out of the flush it out, and then me buy it used one.
Well, and then that other person we heard of that always leased the new cars, and the same thing happened to her.
Right. So there is a thought behind that, and that if anybody else has any information, feel free to inbox us and let us know, because it's a show I'd like to do. I'd like to do a show on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now that everybody's wearing masks driving, that might help them. These freaking idiots wearing masks driving. Like, are you kidding me? You're driving wearing a mask, and there's nobody in the car with you. You look stupid. I'm sorry.
Well, all those masks have tons of toxic chemicals on them too, besides like the cloth ones you would make out of material.
Right.
Those are not good at all.
Well, it's definitely not good when you see these kids playing. They're having these children play sports. You know, I've seen them playing sports in this 100-degree weather with them on. It breaks my heart.
Dang.
I see old people scared and in fear, and they're wearing them in this weather, and I'm like, and they're in fear for their lives, and I understand why they have them on, completely do. It just breaks my heart because they can hardly breathe as it is in this weather, and then you have that on top of it. It's like smothering somebody, and it just breaks my heart. And speaking of smothering, those freaking weight blankets are making me, I have an anxiety and fear over these weighted blankets they're selling in stores, and they're making them heavier and heavier. Like, oh my gosh, who wants to wake up with a blanket they can't get off of them? Like,
That's funny because they suggest those for like anxiety and for comfort. Like that will help.
Well, I could see for a child who like kicks their blanket off and they need to keep them warm throughout the night, but it almost reminds me of a form of torture. Like, you're
stuck. Almost like when you go to a hotel and the sheets are all fucking tucked in real good and you're like trying to move and you fucking can't. Oh, I hate that.
So, I don't know about those damn things. I got that Fab phone box, and it came with those weighted like eye things. I was like, I don't even want these stupid things because someone's got this stupid blanket. It's funny. But anyway, it was a great show today, and I'll let you go so that we can get everybody on their way today, doing what they're supposed to do, which would be loving on their families and give them hugs and kisses. And
Love
don't
thy
forget,
neighbor as yourself.
Exactly. And don't forget to give your pets fresh water and keep them indoors from this heat. Check on your neighbors. Exactly. Check on your elderly and see somebody walking down the street, offer them a bottle of water. That's what I do.
All right, peace.
Peace out. You take care.
Later.